I should have known something was wrong when Marcus stopped looking at me during dinner. For 3 years, I'd been the kind of partner people write songs about. I'd worked double shifts at the hospital to help pay off his business loans. I'd postponed my dream of opening a pediatric clinic so he could launch his luxury car dealership. I'd smiled through countless family dinners where my sister Vanessa, beautiful, unemployed, perpetually dramatic Vanessa, would accidentally brush against him, laugh too loud at his jokes, wear dresses cut too low for Sunday brunch. "You're being paranoid," I'd tell myself, staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. while Marcus snored beside me. "She's your sister. He loves you." The engagement party was my mother's idea. She'd rented out the Rosewood estate, that glass-walled venue overlooking the bay where tech moguls married Instagram models. 200 guests. A string quartet. Champagne towers that cost more than my monthly salary. I wore the emerald dress Marcus claimed was his favorite. I'd lost 12 pounds for it, survived on salads and black coffee, ignored the way my hands shook during surgery rotations. Marcus wore a custom Tom Ford suit and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. The first toast was normal. My father, awkward but earnest, welcoming Marcus to the family. My college roommate Sarah, telling embarrassing stories about my medical school breakdowns that made everyone laugh. Then Vanessa stood up. She looked radiant in champagne silk, her hair cascading in perfect waves, her smile sharp as a scalpel. Our mother beamed at her. She always did. Vanessa was the beautiful daughter. I was the smart one, the responsible one, the one who didn't need constant validation. The one who was easier to overlook. "I have to confess something," Vanessa said, her voice carrying that breathy quality that made men lean closer. The room quieted. She reached for Marcus's hand. My stomach dropped. "These past 6 months have been..." She paused, biting her lip. "Incredible. And I can't keep lying anymore." The room was silent. 200 pairs of eyes swiveled between Vanessa, Marcus, and me. I stood frozen, champagne glass halfway to my lips, my brain refusing to process what was happening. Marcus stood. He didn't look at me. "Elena, I'm sorry. I never meant for you to find out this way." This way. As if there was a good way to discover your fiancé was fucking your sister. "We're in love," Vanessa announced, and actually had the audacity to press herself against him. "We've been seeing each other since January. And..." She held up her left hand. A diamond glittered there, larger than mine, I noticed with a kind of detached hysteria. "We're engaged." The room erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Someone dropped a plate. My mother stood up, face pale, reaching toward me. My father's face turned purple with rage. But I just stood there, perfectly still, as my entire life disintegrated around me. Sarah grabbed my arm. "Elena. Let's go. Now." I set down my champagne glass with steady hands. Looked Marcus directly in his cowardly eyes. The business loans I co-signed. The $47,000 in dealership startup costs I paid. The apartment lease in both our names. "We'll discuss this with lawyers." His face went white. He hadn't expected that. He'd expected tears, hysteria, a scene. Vanessa laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh. Elena. Always so practical. Maybe that's why he chose me instead." I smiled then. It felt like broken glass in my mouth. "Enjoy my sloppy seconds. Nessa. I hope he's worth it." I walked out of that glass palace with my head high and my heart in pieces, while 200 people watched the best drama they'd seen all year. I made it to Sarah's car before I vomited into the bushes. The first week, I cried until I thought my body would turn inside out. I called in sick to work, something I'd never done. I ignored the hundreds of texts, the calls, the Facebook messages asking if I was okay, if the rumors were true, how I was handling things. My mother called 17 times. I answered once. "Your sister says you won't return her calls," she said, voice tight with that particular strain she reserved for when I disappointed her. "My sister," I repeated slowly, "is sleeping with my fiancé. Ex-fiancé. I have nothing to say to her." "Elena, you have to understand. Love isn't something we can control. They didn't mean to hurt you." Something inside me snapped clean. "Don't call me again unless you're ready to apologize." I hung up. She didn't call back. Sarah moved into my apartment, brought wine and pad thai, and compiled a list of every romantic comedy where the heroine got revenge. We didn't watch them. Instead, I opened my laptop and began documenting everything. Marcus Chen. Business loan cosigner. Elena Rodriguez. Amount. $47,000. Current balance. $31,200. Joint lease. Riverside Apartments. Unit 402. Both parties liable until September 2025. Shared credit card. $8,400 balance. 73% of charges. Marcus's dealership expenses. I was methodical. Precise. 3 years in surgical residency taught you to compartmentalize, to function while everything around you was chaos and blood and people screaming. Then I found the folder. It was tucked in my cloud storage, automatically backed up from our shared computer. Marcus had been careless, or arrogant. Probably both. Vanessa_wedding_plans.docs honeymoon_bora-bora.pdf dealership expansion_investment proposal XLSX. I opened the last one with shaking hands. The investment proposal was dated January 2025, the month their affair started. Marcus was seeking $300,000 in expansion capital for his dealership. The primary investor listed? Richard Ashford. Net worth. $47 million. Relationship. Vanessa Rodriguez's ex-boyfriend. I read it 3 times before I understood. Vanessa hadn't fallen in love with Marcus. She'd introduced him to Richard as an investment opportunity, then seduced Marcus to ensure he'd go along with her plan. Once Richard invested in the dealership, she'd marry Marcus and have access to both the business and Richard's connections. It was brilliant, actually. Sociopathic but brilliant. I kept reading. Found the texts she'd accidentally backed up to the shared drive. Vanessa to Marcus. Richard's asking questions. You need to propose soon. Make it public. I need her completely out of the picture before he commits the full amount. Marcus. The engagement party is in 2 weeks. I'll do it then. Vanessa. Perfect. God, I can't wait to see her face. My hands clenched around my laptop. Sarah looked up from her phone. Elena? You okay? No, I said quietly. But I will be. I didn't rush. Revenge, I realized, was like surgery. All about precision, timing, and knowing exactly where to cut. First, I called my lawyer. Jennifer Chen, no relation to Marcus, thankfully, was a shark in heels who'd handled my medical malpractice insurance. She listened to everything, took notes and smiled. The co-signed business loan is interesting. You're legally entitled to 50% of the business equity or full repayment. The lease you can break with financial penalty from him. The credit card. She tapped her pen. We'll bury him in paperwork. I want more than paperwork, I said. Her smile widened. Then let's talk about the investment fraud. Turns out, Marcus had lied to Richard Ashford about the dealership's financial status. The expansion proposal claimed $400,000 in annual profit. The real number, according to the tax returns I'd helped file? $127,000. That's securities fraud if Richard can prove he relied on false financial statements, Jennifer said. Minimum 5 years prison. Maximum 20. And Vanessa? Conspiracy to commit fraud if we can prove she knew and facilitated it. Which, based on these texts. Jennifer held up her phone, showing the backed-up messages. We definitely can. I scheduled the meeting for exactly 2 months after the engagement party. Enough time for Marcus and Vanessa to feel safe, to believe they'd won, to plan their wedding and spend Richard's investment money. Enough time for me to heal, to transform, to become someone new. I threw myself into work with manic intensity. Took extra shifts. Volunteered for the surgeries no one wanted, the middle-of-the-night emergencies, the complex reconstructions. I lost myself in the rhythm of it. Scalpel, suture, save. My attending noticed. Dr. Patricia Wells, a legendary pediatric surgeon who smiled about once per decade, pulled me aside after a successful separation of conjoined digits on a 6-year-old. Your technique has improved significantly, she said. Thank you. You're also working yourself to death. Whatever you're running from, I hope you catch it soon. I almost laughed. I'm not running. I'm preparing. She studied me with those sharp gray eyes that missed nothing. 4. A different kind of surgery. She nodded slowly. The kind that leaves scars? On someone who deserves them. She handed me a business card. Dr. Patricia Wells, Chief of Pediatric Surgery, Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Below that, handwritten. Call me when you're ready to start that clinic you've been dreaming about. I stared at it. How did you? You think I don't research my residents? You postponed your pediatric fellowship 3 times to support that worthless boyfriend. Now you're free. Don't waste it. That night, I cried again. But this time it felt like cleansing. I started running. Started eating properly. Let my hair grow out and stopped dyeing it the subtle brown Marcus preferred. Started wearing red lipstick and dresses that made me feel powerful instead of pretty. Sarah whistled when I emerged from my room 6 weeks later. Damn. Who is she? I grinned. Someone who's done being the nice girl. The investor meeting was Marcus's idea. He'd suggested it to Richard as a progress update, a chance to show how well the dealership expansion was going. I'd convinced Richard to request the meeting through my own carefully orchestrated plan. First, I'd anonymously sent Richard's office a basic financial inquiry about the dealership, posing as a potential investor. Nothing specific, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Then, I'd had Jennifer send Marcus a legal letter regarding the business loan repayment. Standard procedure, but the timing made Marcus panic. He'd called Richard immediately, assuring him everything was fine, suggesting they meet to review the numbers. Richard agreed. Marcus suggested his dealership. Richard countered. Let's meet at Moretti's. 7 p.m. Bring your fiancé and your business partner. Marcus didn't have a business partner. But he'd listed me as one on the original loan documents. I had a legal right to be present for any investor meetings. He called me for the first time in 2 months. Elena, I know things are complicated, but this meeting is important for the business. Could you please? I'll be there, I said simply. Thank you. I really appreciate. I hung up. Sarah helped me choose the outfit. Black Armani suit, silk blouse, heels that added 4 inches and made me feel like a warrior. Hair slicked back in a severe bun. Blood-red lipstick. You look like you're about to destroy someone's life, Sarah said approvingly. That's the idea. Moretti's was Marcus's favorite restaurant, the place where he'd proposed to me, where we'd celebrated every anniversary, where I'd convinced myself we were building something real. Walking in felt like visiting a grave. Richard Ashford was already seated. 50s, silver-haired, expensive suit, the kind of sharp intelligence that comes from making and losing fortunes. Vanessa sat beside him, looking nervous but trying to hide it under layers of makeup and a designer dress I recognized from Marcus's credit card statement. Marcus sat across from them, sweating despite the air conditioning. They all turned when I entered. Vanessa's face went white. What is she doing here? I'm a business partner, I said calmly, sitting down beside Richard. According to the loan documents Marcus signed, I have every right to be present for investor discussions. Richard's eyes narrowed. Is this true? Marcus nodded miserably. Jennifer arrived moments later. I'd invited her as my attorney. She sat beside me, spreading documents across the table with the efficiency of a dealer shuffling cards. Shall we begin? I said pleasantly. The next hour was beautiful. Jennifer walked Richard through every discrepancy in Marcus's financial statements. The inflated profit margins. The hidden debts. The falsified asset valuations. She had bank statements, tax returns, credit reports, everything Marcus thought he'd hidden. Richard's face went from curious to angry to absolutely livid. You told me this business generated $400,000 annually, he said, voice dangerously quiet. The actual number is $127,000. There were some miscalculations, Marcus stammered. You lied to secure my investment. That's fraud, Mr. Chen. Vanessa leaned forward, switching tactics. Richard, I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. Marcus would never. Be quiet, Vanessa. She flinched like he'd slapped her. Jennifer slid another document across the table. These are text messages between Ms. Rodriguez and Mr. Chen, discussing the investment and specifically mentioning the need to make the numbers look better, for your review. I watched Vanessa's face crumble as she read her own words. The conspiracy laid bare. Richard stood. My lawyers will be in contact. I want every penny back, plus damages. And I'll be filing a formal complaint with the district attorney. Richard, please. Vanessa grabbed his arm. He shook her off like she was contaminated. Don't ever contact me again. Either of you. He left. The restaurant seemed quieter in his absence. Marcus looked at me with something like hope. Elena, I know I messed up. But if we could just talk. No, I said simply. Jennifer will send you the business loan repayment schedule. You have 30 days. The credit card debt needs to be cleared immediately. And I want my name off the apartment lease by the end of the week. I can't afford all of that. You should have thought of that before you fucked my sister. Vanessa finally found her voice. You vindictive bitch. You planned this whole thing. You deliberately gathered evidence of your crimes? I smiled. Yes, I did. You see, Nessa, you always underestimated me. You thought because I was kind I was weak. Because I was patient I was stupid. You thought you could take everything from me and I just disappear. I leaned closer, dropping my voice to a whisper. You forgot I'm a surgeon. I know exactly where to cut to make it hurt most. I stood, smoothing my suit. Oh, one more thing. Mom called me yesterday. Apparently, she's been talking to her lawyer about the inheritance trust fund. The one Grandma left to both of us, conditional on maintaining moral character and family integrity. Her words. Vanessa's eyes widened. The trust fund was worth $200,000 each. I sent her copies of your text messages with Marcus. All of them. Including the ones where you called her a manipulative old bitch, and said you'd put her in the cheapest nursing home you could find. You didn't, she whispered. I absolutely did. She's removing you from the trust. All of it comes to me now. I smiled. She said to tell you she's disappointed but not surprised. I picked up my bag and walked toward the exit. Stopped. Turned back. By the way, I talked to Richard's ex-wife. Lovely woman. She's very interested in testifying about your pattern of targeting wealthy men for their money. Apparently, you tried this same scheme with her husband 2 years ago. Vanessa looked like she might vomit. Enjoy the wedding planning, I said. I hear prison ceremonies are quite intimate. The story went viral within 48 hours. Someone at Moretti's, probably a server, posted about the epic takedown they'd witnessed. Reddit picked it up. Twitter exploded. Suddenly, I had strangers messaging me, calling me a hero, sharing their own betrayal stories. News outlets requested interviews. I declined all of them. Let the silence speak for itself. Marcus's dealership collapsed within 3 weeks. Richard's lawyers filed criminal charges. The district attorney, facing public pressure and clear evidence, prosecuted enthusiastically. Vanessa tried to flee to Europe. She was stopped at the airport. Apparently, her passport had been flagged due to the ongoing investigation. Jennifer's work, though she'd never admit it. My mother called. I answered. Elena, I'm sorry. I should have supported you immediately. I should have seen what Vanessa was doing, who she really was. I chose her because... She paused. Because she needed me more. And I took you for granted. Yes, I said. You did. Can you forgive me? Eventually. But not yet. That's fair. She sounded old, tired. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Terrified of you but proud. I laughed despite myself. I'll call you next week, Mom. I'll be here. Sarah threw me a divorce party, even though I'd never actually married Marcus. The theme was Phoenix Rising. Everyone wore red and gold. We burned my engagement photos in a decorative fire pit and drank champagne until 3 a.m. Dr. Wells called the next morning, clearly amused by my hangover. The pediatric clinic position is still available. I've secured funding for a new facility focusing on underprivileged children. I need a surgeon with your skills and your spine. Interested? I accepted before she finished the sentence. The clinic opened on a Tuesday in April. Sunshine streaming through the waiting room windows. We called it Phoenix House because Sarah said I was incapable of subtlety and I figured she was probably right. Marcus was serving 18 months for investment fraud and financial misrepresentation. His lawyer had negotiated down from the initial 5-year sentence in exchange for cooperating fully and providing evidence against Vanessa. Vanessa got 3 years. She'd also been ordered to pay restitution to Richard and several other men she'd scammed over the years. Her Instagram, once a carefully curated shrine to luxury and beauty, had been deleted. I didn't feel bad about it. My mother came to the clinic opening. We were still working on rebuilding our relationship, but she'd made genuine efforts. Therapy, apologies, actually listening instead of dismissing my feelings. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Sarah brought her new girlfriend, a lawyer she'd met through Jennifer. They were disgustingly cute together. Jennifer came too, though she claimed it was just to ensure proper legal documentation of the charity structure. She donated $10,000 and set up a scholarship fund for medical students from low-income families. Dr. Wells gave a speech about the importance of second chances and new beginnings. She didn't mention my personal drama, but she looked directly at me when she talked about rising from ashes stronger than before. The first patient was a 7-year-old girl with a cleft palate, brought in by her grandmother who'd saved for 2 years to afford the surgery. Under the new clinic model, it would cost them nothing. I studied the X-rays, planned the procedure, felt that familiar calm settle over me. The place where nothing existed except the problem and the solution, the damage and the healing. Dr. Rodriguez? The grandmother's voice was hesitant. I saw the news stories. About what happened to you. What you did. I tensed, unsure where this was going. She smiled. I just wanted to say thank you. For showing my granddaughter that when someone tries to break you, you can choose to become unbreakable instead. The little girl looked up at me with huge brown eyes. You're like a superhero, she said seriously. But with doctor stuff. I laughed. Really laughed. For the first time in months. I like that. Maybe I'll put it on my business cards. That night, I stood on my apartment balcony. A new apartment, one that Marcus had never seen, that held no memories of betrayal, and looked out at the city lights. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Marcus. I know I have no right to message you. But I wanted you to know I'm sorry. Truly sorry. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. I hope you're happy. I hope you found something real. I stared at the message for a long time. Typed and deleted a dozen responses. Finally settled on. Me, I have. Her name is Elena, and she's fucking magnificent. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. Sarah emerged onto the balcony with 2 glasses of wine. Productive day? The best, I said, taking a glass. Operated on 3 kids, set up the foundation's tax structure, and officially became a supervising physician. And the personal stuff? Marcus messaged. I told him to fuck off, basically. She clinked her glass against mine. To fucking off. To fucking off, I agreed. We drank in comfortable silence, watching the city breathe and glow beneath us. Somewhere out there, Marcus sat in a prison cell, thinking about the life he'd thrown away. Vanessa probably sat in her own cell, still wondering how the smart sister had outsmarted her so completely. My mother was learning to apologize. Sarah was falling in love. Dr. Wells was building an empire of healing. And me? I was finally, gloriously, completely myself. The broken parts had been cut away with surgical precision. What remained was scar tissue, stronger than the original, impossible to tear, marked by survival. What are you thinking about? Sarah asked. I smiled, feeling the weight of the red lipstick I now wore every day, the armor of confidence I'd built from ruins. I'm thinking that they did me a favor. Breaking my heart freed me to build something better from the pieces. That's some philosophical shit, Sarah said admiringly. I'm a doctor, I said. I know that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out what's dying and let something new grow in its place. My phone buzzed again. Not Marcus this time, but the hospital. Emergency surgery needed. A child with a broken arm and a promising future. I downed the rest of my wine and grabbed my keys. You're going in? Sarah asked. Always, I said. Someone needs saving. I didn't say out loud what I was thinking, that maybe all along, the person who needed saving most was me, and I'd finally learned how to be my own hero. The city lights blurred as I drove through the night, toward the hospital, toward the life I'd built from ashes and fury and the unshakable belief that I deserved more than the scraps of someone else's conscience. I'd been broken publicly, humiliated completely, betrayed by the people I trusted most. And I'd come back sharper than the scalpel I wielded, more precise in my vengeance than any surgery I'd performed, more alive than I'd been in the 3 years I spent making myself smaller to fit into Marcus's vision of who I should be. They'd tried to destroy me. Instead, they'd forged me into something unbreakable. And that, I thought as the hospital lights appeared ahead, was the best revenge of all. The email arrived on a Wednesday morning while I was reviewing surgical schedules. Subject: You won. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the sender. Marcus Chen. Against my better judgment, a recurring theme, I opened it. Elena. I'm writing this from the halfway house where I'm finishing my sentence. I've been thinking a lot about what I destroyed, what I lost, and what you built from the wreckage. Vanessa left me 6 months ago. Turns out, when I had nothing to offer, she had no use for me. Funny how that works. I've been attending therapy, mandatory counseling, all the things they make you do when you've proven you can't be trusted with your own decisions. My therapist asked me what I'd say to you if I could. I told her I'd apologize. She asked what I'd apologize for. It took me 3 sessions to realize. I'd apologize for not seeing you. Really seeing you. For taking your sacrifice and calling it obligation. For mistaking your strength for something I could exploit. For choosing the drama Vanessa offered over the partnership you built. I saw the profile in Medical today about Phoenix House. The children you've saved. The lives you've changed. The empire you're building. You're magnificent, Elena. You always were. I was just too stupid and too selfish to notice until you were gone. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that watching you thrive while I fell apart was the clearest lesson I've ever learned. Some people are architects who build cathedrals. Some people are arsonists who burn them down for warmth. I was an arsonist pretending to be a builder. You were always the cathedral. I hope you're happy. I hope you never think of me. I hope wherever you are, whoever you're with, they know how lucky they are. Marcus. I read it twice. Felt nothing except a distant, mild satisfaction. Sarah appeared in my office doorway. You okay? You have that face. What face? The someone from my past just reminded me why they're in my past face. I showed her the email. She read it, made a disgusted noise. He wants forgiveness. He says he doesn't, I pointed out. Which is manipulation 101. Making the big gesture of not asking so you feel guilty enough to give it anyway. She handed back my phone. You responding? I thought about it. Thought about the girl I'd been a year ago, crying in bushes outside a glass palace while her life imploded. Thought about the woman I was now. Chief pediatric surgeon, founder of a revolutionary clinic, published researcher, occasionally featured in medical journals standing beside Dr. Wells. I thought about David, the pediatric oncologist I'd been dating for 3 months, who brought me coffee during overnight shifts and never made me feel like my career was an inconvenience. Who looked at me like I hung the moon and didn't expect me to dim my light so he could shine brighter. I thought about everything I'd built from the ruins of that engagement party. I deleted the email without responding. Nothing to say? Sarah asked. I smiled. He already said it. I won. My phone rang, Dr. Wells, calling about a complex case she wanted me to lead. A set of twins who needed reconstructive surgery, something that would push my skills to their limit. Dr. Rodriguez, she said when I answered, how do you feel about making medical history? I grabbed my coat, already moving toward the surgical wing. Let's find out. Behind me, Marcus's email disappeared into digital oblivion, as forgotten as the life I'd left behind. Ahead of me was the surgery, the challenge, the cathedral I was still building from my own vision, my own hands, my own unbreakable will. Some stories end with forgiveness. This one ended with something better. Indifference. Marcus had tried to make me a footnote in his story. Instead, I'd made him a prologue in mine, the chapter you barely remember once the real story begins. And the real story? It was just getting started.